Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Whatcha Reading. We are here today to tell you about 3 books each. We're going to tell you what we have read, what we are reading, and what we're going to read next. I am your host. My name is Brenna. I am the advisory supervisor here at Skokie Public Library, and I help to coordinate things like book clubs and our recommendation services, and you might see me working the advisory desk sometimes as well. I'm joined today by Amber. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Amber Hayes. I am the communications coordinator, so I do a lot of things with our blog, our website, and social media. I'm also a pretty big reader, too.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, you know? I feel like we've got a lot going on in life. It's a busy time for me. Sure. I don't know about you. I've got some travel upcoming, so I'm like, and I want to read more, but I need to also pack and...
Understandable.
Yeah.
I'm trying to meet my reading goals, so I have a lot of short books going right now so that I can accomplish that.
I have given up completely on reading goals. I think after I had my child, I was like, you know what? We're not doing the hundreds of books. We're going to do 50. And if we don't meet 50, we're going to do 30.
And that's okay.
And it's okay. If you need to 12, 1, whatever you do, it's fine.
All right, so let's start talking about some books.
Yeah. So I just finished listening to The Boyfriend by Freida McFadden. Are you familiar with this author?
Yes, I read her first, I think it was her first book. It's called The Housemaid, and I read it all in one sitting. It was such a page turner.
Yes, I actually did her book, The Teacher, I read in one sitting. I was sick that day, which was great. I just sat in bed and listened to it for a full 8 hours. And so she is a great, page flipping, can't wait until the end author. The Boyfriend is about Sydney, who's kind of down on her luck when it comes to romance. She's on all the apps. All the guys tend to not be great, right? And then she finally meets the guy of her dreams, a doctor named Tom.
Suspicious. I'm immediately suspicious.
But also the problem is her best friend was also murdered. Okay. And kind of all signs start to point towards Tom. Uh-oh. And we get both perspectives, right? We get present day Sydney and we get past whatever year Tom. So we kind of get to understand Tom, where he came from, his living situation, and also how he came to be with Sydney. And this is another one, I think if you read Freida McFadden, you kind of expect there to be shenanigans at the end. And this one definitely had one. I will say, because I've read so many books by her, I was expecting it, unfortunately, because, you're like, bring me the punchline, but it's still a great read, and I recommend it.
Yeah, she has so many twists and turns. And the good news is, if you read one and you like it, there's so many other books that have already come out and more that are coming out, so there's tons of hers to get through.
At least 10. I'm impressed. So that's what I just read, and I think I have another one of her books coming up. So I'm looking forward to more shenanigans.
Great. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. What you read?
So, one of my favorite books of this year. It's called The Ministry of Time by Kaliane Bradley. And this book is a weird mishmash of genres. So it's literary fiction, it's a little bit sci-fi, it's a little bit romance, and then halfway through it turns into this crime thriller. So there's a lot going on. Yeah. It's not super sci-fi because time travel exists, but it's not the focus of the story. So basically the British government has figured out a way to pull people out of time and into the present day. And our main character works for the British government, and she gets paired with this man from 1850-ish.
Ooh,
and
fun.
Her job is to introduce him to modern day. Mm-hmm. Well, this takes place a little bit in the future. But it's here's how streaming music works, and here's what the food is and stuff like that, which is really interesting. And as I said, a romance kind of blossoms between them. But then it turns out the British government has all these secrets about the time travel program, and it gets really twisty and exciting, and I just loved it. So yeah, it's called Ministry of Time.
That's interesting. I'm not a big sci-fi person. I tend to get lost in the space and terms and jargon. Would you say this is an accessible sci-fi book, or?
Yeah, it's very much sci-fi light. So as I said, time travel exists, but they don't go into here are the rules and how all of it goes. It's just well, let's move on with the story. It's time travel. So
I accept that. Okay, I haven't heard of that book yet, but it sounds like it's got something for everyone.
Yeah, it's showing up a lot on a lot of the best of the year book lists.
Okay, so I'm just behind is all I'm hearing. Oh, yay. Okay, another book to add to my list.
Yeah. So what are you reading now?
Okay, so I am just a few pages into this one. Are you a big manga or anime watcher, reader?
I am admittedly not, so
Okay.
I would love to hear more about it.
So I have not read manga in quite some time, but there has been a remake of one of my favorite manga anime from a while ago called Ranma 1/2. I am not well versed in the world of manga right now, but this one seems to get pretty good reviews. A Sign of Affection is about a college student. She's deaf. Her name is Yuki, and she has a chance encounter on the bus with this hot globe-trotting, like jet-setting, trilingual mystery guy, and she's like intrigued in the best way. And he just so happens to be a friend of a friend, so she's like, can you give him my number? And despite the fact that he speaks 3 languages, he does not quite know how to communicate with Yuki. And so it's kind of them trying to communicate, and the love blossoms. And I just need that in my life, right? I just need a wholesome, people falling in love, having a good time.
Absolutely.
There's an anime that came out too this past January. I think it's only 1 season, so luckily I have something to go to once I'm done with this.
So as someone who hasn't read a lot of manga, do you think this would be a good intro book for me?
If you like romance a lot.
I am a big romance reader.
Because this is that genre shoujo of manga that's like, I don't want to say girl problems, but it's like a lot of girls, ordinary life, and usually there's a big, strong romance aspect to it. So yes, I would recommend this too if you want some more romance and cozy, small problems like, oh no, miscommunication, oh no.
Yeah, standard romance stuff.
Indeed, yeah, just a different format. So I'm excited to finish this one.
Great.
And what are you reading or listening to?
I am reading I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. So the basic premise is there's this woman named Jolene, and she has her kind of typical boring office job. And she has this thing she does where every time she sends an email, it will be, your standard polite, normal email. And then
best
at the
regards.
bottom, best regards. And then at the bottom in white ink, she'll write what she really thinks about the person. And it will be this really cutting, mean stuff. And after a while, she gets found out because
so
of course
awkward.
She's going to get found out.
Yeah.
Just the thought of doing something like that gives me so much anxiety.
Right.
I'm like, oh gosh. So she gets involved in this whole HR. She has to be do these trainings, so she doesn't get fired and all this stuff. And because she comes from an immigrant family, she has a lot of pressure from her family to do well in her career. So she's like, I can't get fired. I have to make this right. So she starts to actually get to know these coworkers that she's been really quite mean to. And it turns out they're actually pretty decent people who are nice and going through their own kind of stuff as well. It has a little bit of romance in it, but it's definitely not the focus. And it's serious, but there's moments of humor, especially office humor. And one thing that I really love is an imperfect main character.
Yeah.
She definitely grows throughout the story, as I'm seeing. But it's not like she stays a terrible person the whole time, but she's complicated, and I think that makes it really interesting.
Are her comments about her coworkers justified? Are they you're terrible at math, you should not have this job? Or is it I hate the fact that you cut your hair this? What are her complaints?
I mean, they're never justified.
Yeah.
They're just mean.
Yeah, mean-spirited.
It's as she gets to know them, she realizes oh, that's the reason this person is this way. There's a reason in their life that they've behaved in this way or they dress this way or whatever it is.
Kudos to her coworkers for still talking to her.
Right? I probably wouldn't talk to a coworker who did that to me.
Yeah.
I don't think I would. So, what are you reading next?
Well, once I finish this bad boy, I'm hoping to read Indian Burial Ground by Nick Medina. I have not read his debut book. Have you?
I have not.
Okay, so he's from Chicago too, but he's been popping up everywhere in the horror realm. This one, I just have to read the inside the jacket for you real quick because it's just wow. Okay. A man lunges in front of a car. An elderly woman silently drowns herself. A corpse sits up in his coffin and speaks. On this reservation, not all is what it seems.
Ooh.
Right?
Attention grabbing. Oh my gosh.
More. What's in the water? What's going on? So in this one, Noemi is about to leave the reservation. She's excited about it. She's got, a whole bright future ahead of her. She's got a loving boyfriend. Things looking great. And then her boyfriend dies under mysterious circumstances, and things are no longer great, right? And so her uncle, who also left the reservation some 10 years ago, he comes back because he suspects something foul is at play. And the two of them kind of investigate and uncover some terrible secrets about the land that they live on and the people. So I love a good horror suspense book, and I think we need more attention grabbing, like who knows, is it like man-made, is it supernatural? Like I'm excited to see what happens with this one.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. I've seen it on some of the best of lists. I'm also going to a library event in a few weeks where he's going to be speaking, so I think I should read it before I go to that. I think I'm sold. I'm going to pick that one up.
I will let you know. Yeah. What's next in your docket?
My next book is called The Serviceberry, Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World by Rabin Kimmerer. Yeah, as I said, I'm trying to meet my reading goal, and as you can see, this is a very, very short
judgment
book. So her last book came out in 2013. It was called Braiding Sweetgrass, which was very popular, and we've all been waiting 11 years for her next book, and it is finally here. Admittedly, probably more like a long essay than a book.
Okay.
I plan to do the audio, and it's, I think, like 2 hours long. And she narrates it, which is great because she has an amazing voice for narration. But it's all about like nature and gift giving and community and kindness and all these wonderful things as it ties into the natural world. And she is a member of the Potawatomi Nation, and she is also a botanist and professor of environmental studies.
Nice.
So it's all about like this connection between like our connection to nature and the indigenous perspective, and then like the science and how they don't have to be two totally different things. Like they go together.
I love that. An 11-year wait.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, I hope you enjoy what's next. And I got some books to add to my list myself. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. So everything we talked about is going to be linked in the show notes. If you heard something that sounds interesting, please leave us a comment. And please like and subscribe. And thank you for joining us for our first episode of What You Readin'. Bye.